so many misspellings. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we'll get started. So just to brief y'all, we're gonna do introductions, and then we'll go to questions. We crowdsourced all these questions from first the panelists, and then also all the community members here also contributed to them as well. So this should be nice. Oh, sorry. All right. Context. For the first time in history, more than 50% of children under the age of 5 are not white. This is in this country. This is largely fueled by, and by the way, there's not love in the club. But this is largely fueled by high immigration and high birth rates from non-white families. And in fewer than 3 decades, more than half of the in fewer than 3 decades, non-Hispanic whites will actually become, for the very first time, a minority group. In other words, today's minorities will become a majority very, very soon. And so that's why today's topic.
World domination.
Also, the world is bigger than this country.
Yeah.
So that's why today's topic is so timely. I think identity is one of those very heavy and challenging things. So, again, ask that everyone be respectful of each other. It's something that is a part of us, and for some of us, defines all of us, but then others is also just a piece of us. So with that, we're very lucky to have an incredibly diverse and esteemed group of digital luminaries. Let me start at the very, very right. Lily Singh, aka Superwoman. Superwoman has more than 3 million subscribers and 230 million views. She's a sassy mix between Ellen DeGeneres and Nicki Minaj.
That's cute. I'll pay you later.
She's actually a Toronto-based entertainer, and as you know, does pretty much everything, which is why she's called Superwoman. Stand-up, motivational speaking, and so forth.
Yeah. Thank you.
Her motivation is not, of course, just to make you laugh, but to think and grow with her and her community. Please again welcome Lily Singh. Let's see who's next.
Heartbeat.
Sorry? Oh. Hey, where's my introduction?
I was gonna say, I can't see it.
I thought you looked like,
This is what we're gonna do, because I think you guys are funnier than me. Everyone introduce yourself in 3 lines, and then if you don't say something that I think is really impressive, I'm gonna add on to it.
I want Lily's introduction.
Yeah, we cross between sort of.
All right.
okay, you're a sassy mix between Ellen DeGeneres and
Everyone introduce yourself in 3 words. I want them to hear directly from you. I've been talking way too much, and then I'll add more if you miss something I think it's important, because I know y'all are modest. All right, go ahead.
Woo!
Known from Heartbeat on YouTube, and I'm black and stuff. Yeah, I know it's a light skin thing, but I swear I'm black. Okay, I don't even know what else to add in after that. Like, hi, I'm Hart, I'm black, that's it. That's my name.
That works.
Watermelon! Oh, okay, I love watermelon.
That's good. Watermelon's good for something.
I really enjoy watermelon.
Ramen syrup.
It's good. Mr. Meadows.
I've seen that too. I'm sorry.
Mr. Meadows, go ahead.
All right. Hi, I'm Andre, and I'm a black nerd. I have a YouTube channel, Black Nerd Comedy, so that's why I'm here. I made it specifically to be on this panel. So I'm a cross between Steve Urkel and Launchpad McQuack, and I just do like rants and reviews on videos and go to different comic conventions, and I've done cool videos with Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles, and I can't wait till August 8th. And just cool, funny, nerdy stuff like that. If you like 80s and 90s stuff, you know the difference between a Smurf and a Snork.
Andre's best fact too.
Like, what is a Smurf?
Andre's best fact is he sung Reading Rainbow with the infamous, the incredible LeVar Burton. All right. Jessica, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Jessie.
Woo! after last Vidcon when I noticed that there weren't a whole heck of a lot of brown people. So I figured if we started talking about it, maybe they'd do something about it. And John Green reblogged the thing I made, so now we have a panel.
Mr. Wong, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jimmy Wong. Thank
Jimmy was the first one to come to the room because
Yeah.
we didn't know that we were supposed to go to the speaker lounge.
you. I didn't know what the speaker lounge, how fancy. I'm an actor and musician based in Los Angeles. My older brother is Freddie Wong, which a lot of you guys know. You might know me from video game high school and some other fun stuff like that. I guess my claim to fame when it comes to this whole race business is a particularly fun incident 3 or 4 years ago at UCLA. There's a girl named Alexandra Wallace who posted a very funny vlog, not funny, about Asians in the library being way too loud. So I did a little musical retort to that, and that sort of launched me into the spotlight for representation. I became a focal point for this guy represents an entire race of over 6 billion people. I was like, oh, this thing. So yeah, that's just a short stuff, a little bit about me.
This is Glozo. Is you okay? My name is Glozo Green. That's my real name, and I'm here because I am dark white.
You can teach us that. Do you know my favorite fun fact about Glozell? I didn't know this. You're a trained vocalist and pianist.
Yes, I am. I have a BFA in musical theater from the University of Florida. Go Gators.
Go Gators. The first question in the diversity panel is actually defining what diversity is. Jimmy, what is diversity to you, especially in the context of YouTube?
In the context of YouTube, well, YouTube is great because diversity as a term you usually learn and you think about, all right, skin color, ethnicity. Diversity on YouTube is so much more because it branches out to the full meaning of the word, because you literally have something online that almost anyone can post a video to, anyone can be represented in unless you live in China. It's true, we have a YouTube channel. So we're talking about diversity, it spans everything. So, outside just regular skin color, race, and gender, so it can be diverse about your sexual orientation, who you identify with, what gender you identify with, whether or not you are, wherever you take part in the sort of the worldly community is a part of your diversity. And YouTube exemplifies that because so many more people have a voice, so many more people have other people that can watch and comment on it and have a connection with that person, and diversity is pretty expansive and wonderful because of the internet. So diversity to me is every walk of life, no matter what it is, and it's all represented.
Those are really comprehensive. It was comprehensive.
You're diverse, babe. Part of that magical thread.
Thanks, Jimmy. Jessica, you had mentioned that you noticed that there was a dearth of diversity. Now, given Jimmy's sort of broad representative definition, what are the disadvantages or advantages generally of being someone of diverse background here?
Well, you're not what usually is seen, like the top 100 and top 10. You're not going to necessarily see yourself reflected in that. So if people are expecting, your white cis het guy, and you're not that, that can be a disadvantage. That can be a strike against you in and of itself.
I have a question about that. So, Lily, this is for you especially. You recently traveled to India for YouTube Fan Fest, and actually 3 different people before y'all got here asked, how do you avoid being typecasted as just that Indian girl or just that Asian guy, but also still appealing to that group that you sort of represent?
To be honest, that's one of the biggest challenges I faced when starting. I know, I'm very real with myself, that a lot of the reason I gained traction was because I didn't look like everyone else. That's been the biggest blessing and challenge for me. Blessing because I was like, hey, this Indian girl's not a doctor. That's really different. And then my parents, obviously, yeah. But that was a challenge for a blessing for me because people saw something different and they were drawn to it. Having said that, no matter what I do or what I discuss in my videos, people always be like, oh, that's the Indian girl from YouTube. Or like, oh, there's 3 Indian YouTubers and they're so-so and so. So you instantly get grouped into this category, no matter how much you excel or what you do differently. And so what I changed, when I first started making videos, I used to make videos called My Indian Parent So-and-so or Indian Girl So-and-so. And I learned very quickly that you don't need to put that word Indian on YouTube because when I make my videos now, people say, oh my god, my you know, my black parents are just like that, my Japanese parents are just like that, and you learn that everyone's very, very similar on YouTube and different at the same time. So now when I make my content, although I show my Indian parents, they speak English, they're just Indian, and all the content is universal. So what I've done is I've stayed true to my culture, because that is me, but I don't ever restrict my content to English.
I have a question on that. So Hart, go ahead. No, go ahead. Hart, I have a question for you to ask you on that. So given that identification with another culture can happen, how do you sort of methodically, or perhaps not methodically, think about balancing sort of what you look like and how people perceive that versus who you are beyond that?
No, it's kind of the same thing that she was saying. Like back when I started, I would put like lesbian in every single thing that I would do. But although it did help me find the lesbian community to put that in those tags, because those like Google lesbian, like, oh my God, lesbian. That's me. That's us. We are together. But eventually, over time, I stopped doing that. It's the same thing. You learn that we are very similar in a lot of the things that we do go through. Straight, gay, black, white, doesn't matter. With body image, is that another part of the question?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's certainly part of diversity.
I don't care how big I am, I'm gonna make this money.
Rose, I want to ask you this especially too. You especially have transcended digital and traditional media. I mean, you're on like every TV show, you're on all these comedy clubs, you play Lip Hollow, all these things, right? What are the difference between being someone diverse on YouTube versus being someone diverse in traditional media?
What is the difference between being diverse on YouTube, being diverse in traditional media? Okay, well, on YouTube, then I can be myself. Now, on traditional media, you know, usually there's a script, and then I'm the teacher, or I work in the cafeteria, or I'm the bus driver. Sometimes you're the judge, but you know, there's stereotypes, and that seems to work comfortably for everybody on television. But when on YouTube, when I'm just a silly person, and I happen to be over 40 years old, and I like One Direction. You're like, who cares?
She hides a real look at that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and nobody cares because One Direction fans just don't care about that. Like, oh, you like Justin Bieber? That's great. So we talk about that. But that doesn't, in traditional television, you don't see that. Like, I would be with, watching Oprah somewhere, doing those type of things. But I can do whatever I want to, and now it's time for them to recognize that YouTubers, don't fit in the same category. Like, we are more diverse, so let's see that on television.
What Hart is saying is, you can find so many of these commonalities with other members of the YouTube community very quickly, but certainly it doesn't happen overnight, right? It doesn't happen really quickly. How should someone think about, when does that cliff happen of, oh, I'm not just blank of what you see, but I'm also this, and we can find commonality there? Does it happen immediately? How long does it take? Oh, that was for Jessica. Andre, we'll come to you next, don't you worry. The question was like, it's a beautiful thing that you can find all these commonalities with other people, but it doesn't happen immediately, right? There's certainly a period where people expect you to behave a certain way, they always do. So what is that period, and when does that shift?
I feel like it shifts when I open my mouth, to be honest. Like, you expect me to be one way because you see me, you perceive me this way. As soon as I say something, you're like, oh, you're not like that? Okay. And then it shifts.
Andre, what do you think?
Well, one of the reasons why I say hi, I'm Andre, and I almost like her to get all my videos is to basically get it out of the way. It's like, I'm here, that's what I am, let's move on. And everything beyond that point is just whatever topic I want to talk about. And what I love is that people can get past that, because you're talking about putting Indian or lesbian in your name. Having it as your YouTube channel is very, very fun, because you just get people who don't even watch a single minute of the video. Why do you call yourself black nerd? I mean, white nerd comedy would never be offensive. And I'm like, if the username's available, go get it. So, So, but I say that because I don't, like some people, when they hear the word black, like sometimes they feel like this is a person thing, like, no, I'm saying it proudly, I'm a black nerd, I freaking love it. I love that I can listen to DMX and play some DuckTales at the same time. DMX to now sing DuckTales, I mean, but yeah, I do that because once I get into the topic of what I'm talking about, it's the same thing. There's a commonality. It's like, yes, I am an old black dude, you're a 12-year-old white girl, you're a German, whatever. It's like but we all love the same thing. If you're into this sort of stuff, if you're happy about this movie, this TV show, whatever, let's just enjoy it. So, get past that surface level and just, hey, we all have the same things. And that's why I love meeting people out here and doing things like this. Because, yeah, you can get past that and just love what you love.
Andre, one of my favorite moments is, of the last 5 years of being at YouTube was seeing one of your first videos that you submitted to one of our programs, and you up front said exactly that, right? You were like, I'm a black nerd, you've never seen one like me before, right? And 2 people earlier asked, there's certain categories, whether it's in beauty for transgenders or gaming, where there's mis or underrepresentation of certain diverse groups. Do you guys, what sort of categories do you guys feel like that's sort of particularly prominent or sort of a big gap in? And how do you see that improving or evolving? So someone specifically mentioned like a lack of diversity in gaming, or I think someone over here, transgender identity. What are some categories we can use? Jimmy, I feel like you in music. I feel like mine more.
I've never seen Asian sketch comedy before on YouTube.
Except for that
Just kidding,
the special where they had all the channels.
Oh yeah. Not kidding. And Asian sketch comedy is extremely corrupted. With Ryan, you get all that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. This is funny one too.
It's interesting because
He'll scratch your back later.
So when it comes to diversity and like just the different things on YouTube, it's like that you do have so much of everything. It's just what becomes prominent, what becomes big. Because here's the thing, there's days of content being uploaded every hour, right? There's in that smattering of all that, you're gonna find, you might find a black nerd, you might find an Asian nerd, you'll find one of everything, right? But what comes to the forefront and what gets big is almost out of your control. So for instance, I don't think any of us could have predicted that PewDiePie would have been as huge as he is right now, right? And we go, well look, it's because he's white. Or do we go, oh look, because of his accent. Oh look, it's because of his humor. Oh look, does it have to do with none of these things? It just was a sort of like a bolt of lightning out of nowhere. So I think the big problem is that you have really iconic people that represent certain parts. Sorry, pretty loud, like it's not loud enough. You have certain iconic parts of YouTube that are represented by like figureheads, right? So you've got like PewDiePie just holding down gaming. For a while, Ryan Big helping out with sketch comedy and stuff. And so it's cool because you get to see these guys push forward in different ways, but at the same time, it also, which is really strange, begins to isolate it at the exact same time. Because then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, YouTube's that place where all the Asians make those videos. It's like, whoa, that's broad. But for a while, that was something I would hear people saying, because at the top you had Ryan and all those other guys, doing stuff at the same time. So it's interesting. You want to see breadth of stuff, but at the same time, so much of it is out of your control. It's just what is hot at that time and what just gets pushed forward.
I didn't know that I was diverse at all, because I was just putting up stuff, and you're like by yourself. There's nobody in there, so I assumed that people that were watching me looked like me. So I had a meet and greet once, and there was so many people, and for the most part, they were young white kids, and I thought someone else is having a meet and greet. Tell me, and it's gonna be like 2 black people in the corner, and all the other people, whatever, and I was getting out the car, and this kid was like, I love you, Roselle. And I stopped. I almost got hit by a car because I stopped in the street. And I'm like, are you going to the meeting? I was like, yeah. I go, who are you? I came to see you. And then I'm like, okay, whoa. That's when I was like, the internet is really getting to our audience and not pigeonholing me in anything that if I audition for something, like, oh, well, you're too tall for this, or you're too black for this, where YouTube kids, for the most part, if you're funny, or me, I do comedy, it's funny. They don't care, about my size or about what what weave I'm wearing today, or anything. It's like, if this is good, you know, that's it. So I'm very thankful, and I didn't know that I was diverse. I really thought everybody was going to be middle-aged black women.
Can I add something? But I think it's a really good point, and I get the same experience like Harrison in school. But at the same time, I think that's why it's also important that we, as creators and we as an audience, keep that into place. Because let's be real, you know, there are a lot of companies, a lot of businesses, a lot of corporate ways of getting into this world because of just how big it is. And unfortunately, I have seen times where that same mentality of the pigeonholing and stereotype that we get in traditional media, I see it sometimes starting to merge its way with YouTube, where they feel like, well, you have to be a certain type to be popular on YouTube. So I think, you know, I know this is crazy, and always like, subscribe and like and share, but I think it's important for all of us to keep that in place because I would hate to see a day where YouTube starts to feel like that exact same place where you have to feel like you've got to pigeonhole yourself into a mold just to be seen or just to do what you want. Because as we've always noticed, people that break those molds are usually the ones that stand the test of time and go further with that. This is a great example of that. People here, people out there. So I just don't want that same kind of meddling to mess up.
So this is an important point. So whether it's companies or perhaps just individual trolls, sort of bringing the negativity to the diverse community, one of the biggest questions, the hardest questions for all y'all is, at what point do you act and respond? Right? At what point do you sort of put your foot down and say, this is actually not ethically correct and here's how I'll correct you? Jimmy, let's start with you and let's go to Jimmy, I want you to talk about what was your thought process when you responded to Alexander Ross?
For one,
and why in that way?
Yeah, so for one, negativity breeds negativity. You know, you're not going to get positive gains. If someone is being ignorant in your face, and you're like, I'm going to be just as ignorant right back at you. It's like, you guys are literally walking backwards together. You know, no one is with you. You're actually demeaning yourself in the same way. So when I responded to Alexander, it was like, it was very much specifically, I saw what was out there at the time. It's been 3 or 4 days since it happened, and there were death threats. There were people ripping into her, calling her all kinds of really terrible names, and, you know, threatening to kill someone. Like, that's so extreme when someone's making fun of something, or they're, you know, if they're mocking a stereotype, whatever. Threatening to kill someone is never okay in my book. So my response was specifically, I need to find a way to address this in a way that both makes me feel comfortable about the way I'm addressing it, makes me feel proud about the way I can talk about it, because one, anytime you do anything, you're representing something. So let's say you go out and you're with your family at Disneyland. Anything you do with your family at Disneyland, you represent your family in that regard, right? What your actions reflect upon your parents, how they raised you, and all that stuff. When you go out to a convention and you are talking with a diversity panel, I am always representing the Asian race. You know, you're always representing something, so you always have to keep that in mind, especially when you start putting stuff online, because what you do has an impact on other people. Other people subconsciously might look at you, and if they do share skin color with you, they will automatically be like, okay, what this person is saying has a different weight in my mind because I identify with them at a different level. So for me, seeing all these other sort of prominent Asian members of the community, or even not prominent people, just getting so upset, it said to me like there needs to be a change in the sort of focus of where the response is coming from. And if that focus, if you're focusing on intense hatred, on negativity, and all that other stuff in the face of something that hurts you, then you're only going to breed something worse in response. So that, my entire thing is like you need to come at it with comedy, you come at it with love, and you come at it with something that makes everyone not uncomfortable. You know, you don't want someone to watch it and be like, wow, this person is really angry at that person. You want to watch something and be like, wow, I agree, or I can associate with what this person's emotions are on this subject, and I have a way into their viewpoint so I can address it for them as well. Because if you're isolating some other people in the way that you address something, then you're not going to get any positive gains.
It's well said. Lily, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a little story about this. So I recently had a really big brand deal for, just to give you a brief background house where brand will come to you and say, why don't you promote so-and-so, and then we will either say yes, no, if we like it. If we like it. And so I had agreed to do this brand deal with a company which I will remain anonymous. I will leave their name anonymous. But all of you know the company for sure. It's a huge, huge company. And so I flew down to LA to do a video shoot, and in the middle of the creative, I don't know how many of you are familiar with my channel, but I have parent characters. So I dressed up as my mom characters for one part of the sketch, which to me was like genius. It's like any brand would love this because that's the hit of my channel. The hit of my channel is any video with parent characters, like statistically, based on comments, based on everything. And so in the middle of the sketch, the producer came up to me, and this is a pre-approved idea, came up to me and was like, yeah, listen, the CEO doesn't really like the idea of the mom character, so we're just gonna scratch the whole thing. And I was like, what? Just because the mom character looks very Indian and it's me, it's just an Indian version, way more Indian version of me. So the next day I canceled the entire deal. And I was like, and first of all, aside from diversity, if you're gonna approach a creator and say, you know, promote a product, you better trust that creator's judgment. It's gonna, you know, we're speaking to that brand. On top of that, to be like, oh, we don't feel comfortable with the mom character. Like, it's 2014. What kind of brand do you have where you don't want to cater to people that look different than you look like? I gotta comprehend. So, and it was a lot of money. And I was like, why am I doing this? So that was that.
I have something to say along those lines. I feel like somehow this ties in. You have someone like myself who's been at it for a while, and you have, let's say, I have over 500 million views on one of my YouTube channels. But then there's new people that come out that have like way less, and they get brand deals or whatever, and then you have to not, you know, I guess stay positive that, well, gosh, I wonder why they got that when, you know, like they haven't been at it that long, and a lot of them start, they look alike, they don't look like me, you know. And so that, I don't even know, you have to also stay positive when you see people that seem like they're advancing more than you when they don't look like you, so to speak. And because your time is going to come. Like something's going to break for you, and just hold on and don't be happy for that person. Because you honestly, you really don't know what all they're going through. Like I could have been mad at her, like, she got that, you know, she got that. You know? And then look, she went there and, you know, that thing happened with her. So these things happen, and I just want to put that out there, that stay positive, because you're going to see people go past you, and some people that were great that end up not doing anything, you know, it's all over the place.
I got something to add in. I have a lot less than you guys, and I get brand deals myself. I get brand deals, and I have a lot less, and they treat me as if I am one of you guys, even though I don't have as much as them. So that's like another positive thing to add in. It doesn't matter, like they worry about the numbers. You might get paid more if you have the highest of numbers, but they're still going to treat you equally when it comes to these deals because you're in the same profession as the other people trying to reach to the top. So, yeah.
Do you want to know a fun fact, actually? So, who else is from YouTube corporate? 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go.
Can you guys help me out? I've been trying to get more subscribers on my channel.
Why does it have 300 views but 500 likes?
I now regret asking that question, but the reason I asked that question is the young lady actually in the back, Kendra, did some research and, you know, based on the confluence of Nielsen data and so forth, actually realized that people who are of diverse backgrounds actually consume more content than people who are non-white backgrounds. And if you look specifically at Nielsen, about, for instance, 70% of the Asian population actively watches YouTube compared to just 55% of the white population.
Because well, nerds,
And so this gets to this theme of, like, I don't have to be big to get the brand deals, but it also gets to the theme of, Rosa, you said this really well earlier, is digital is in many ways leading the way to make the world that we watch reflect the world that we actually live in. And so my question to you is, how is digital, not just YouTube, how are all the work that you guys are doing, how is it helping to pave the way for traditional media to sort of change its ways as well?
Well, are we only talking about YouTube?
Sorry, all digital. You start
but YouTube's the best, just saying.
YouTube is the best.
Is Netflix considered that? Because I was going to talk about how there's big shows like, let's say, Orange is the New Black. That is not, that is internet, right? Am I right? And that's where I watched it. So I think that it's opening up to people who look different than you see on traditional television, and I think that's going to change traditional television because I don't even know who's watching it anymore because there's so many great shows on the internet, web shows, and that are very diverse that I like looking at people that look a little different than what I'm used to seeing. Everybody looks the same, like each sandwich, and it's okay. You know?
So it's a new age, right? We're entering into a new age. Some things remain the same, like Andre said. Sometimes people treat you the same way. Sometimes brands will be dumb, and brands will always be dumb because it's a top-down system, right? Everyone's afraid of getting fired by the person above them. So they're going to listen to that person above them. And that producer's scared, he's probably scared because someone above him is going to fire him. That guy's scared, someone above him is going to get scared. It's all, there's a lot of fear into doing something that's incorrect. But YouTube is great because it has individual creators. The internet is great because of individual creators, right? Something like Orange is the New Black can't exist without the internet. Something like BGHS can't exist because I remember growing up and watching Jackie Chan and Jet Li movies. You guys like Jackie Chan and Jet Li? When's the last time you saw either of those guys kiss a girl in their movies? Right? Well, yeah, I kiss Jackie. So we live in an age now where because we are creating the stuff that we want, we are able to put our voice into it. So we can direct the narrative to a certain degree, and I'm not going to say it's your responsibility to do it, but when you do make a video, you are changing the way that people view the world, even if it's by the smallest amount. So, for instance, Video Game High School, I don't think I've ever seen a series like that where an Asian male is a lead actor in it, one of the top billing, and gets to kiss a woman in it, right? And it's it's a storyline that you would never see in traditional media because it's not particularly safe. It's not time-proven and tested. And the thing is, you can't prove something will work until you actually do it. And we're the bearers of that. We're the ones that are actually doing it and proving it works. And by going to a brand and saying, you know what, screw you. If you're not going to do it, then I'm not going to do it either. That is so much more powerful than bending over and saying, well, okay, we'll just do what you want. Because that literally keeps the status quo. So that's how the internet is changing. It's allowing people to have a larger individual voice. And we can make a huge difference because of it. We just have to do it.
I think definitely also, for example, yesterday I had a meeting with a few brands, and the panel was pretty much, what can we do as companies and brands to create a better digital presence? And that's something that was unheard of years ago, for brands to come up to YouTubers and be like, what can we do to get the power you have and to kind of have the influence you have? Because back in the day, 3 years ago, it was like, hey, let's write scripts and try getting on TV. That was the goal, let's try getting on TV. And now the goal's kind of reversed where it's kind of meeting in the middle. And TV's come just being like, well, how can we have the influence that these people have because they're self-made. They don't have the CEOs and all these people. So I think they're really starting to discover that things are changing and digital media will probably take over, if not already doing so, traditional media. That's just what it is.
I have a question for you, Lily, based on what you said. Given that the onus is sort of now on the individual level to sort of define these narratives, how do you see the group of communities that you represent evolving? Where are there still gaps in representation? How do you want to contribute to fix it?
Well, firstly, I dislike the idea of thinking I don't try to represent any group. I'm a very big believer of not using the term my people. I think my people are all people. That's something I'm really big on. But inevitably it happens sometimes, and people will say, oh, you represent things because there's no other Indian on YouTube. Fine, that's fine. I think what I do is, I have a question.
it was how is, let's say, so to your point, like you represent all sorts of different communities, but how are each of those communities sort of evolving?
Got it. How they're evolving, cool. Well, I'll actually use my recent trip to India as an example. Went to India, and it really doesn't matter. We could all go to India, and we'd all be receptive so extremely well there. And you ask them why, and they will say, no one ever comes to India. That was their answer, and they genuinely mean that no one ever comes. No one has YouTube events in India. No one has space. There's no YouTube space in India. There's no platform to do anything in India. And I think the first event was that YouTube conference I went to, and there was such a big audience there, like billions of people there. And there should be more things there in India. And I think it's evolving because YouTube's actually doing a great job of helping it evolve. When I went there, YouTube was like, hey, we're going to do workshops, teach you guys how to upload videos, teach you guys, there's no beauty gurus that are Indian, let's try to empower some, try to influence them, try to create some. I think, and it's not just because I'm a YouTuber, I think YouTube itself does a phenomenal job of inspiring people around the world and helping them create, giving them the power and resources they need. So, yeah.
I have two more questions, and we want to throw it to the crowd because they had so many.
Yeah.
The first is soft, and then the other one is sort of nice. The soft one that I actually like a lot is, what is your favorite community that you may not be sort of officially a part of that you just admire and enjoy? So example is Nerdfight Terry and Jessica, I admire so much. And it's because you represent something that's not only incredibly engaged, but most importantly, something that's incredibly right? It's sort of, humanities first, and sort of this is all the other sort of humanities going to be second, and you sort of, I don't want to say police the community on YouTube, but take it upon yourselves to make sure that everyone is good to each other. So I guess for each of you, we'll start with Lily and we'll go down. What's a community that you really admire that you may not be officially part of? One.
I think a community I particularly think is awesome sauce is like the LGBT community. I think they're so cool. I think so many of my friends are homosexual. That's totally cool. I don't care what I don't care. It doesn't bother me and it shouldn't bother me. What I think it is it's hard enough in the day and age to go through that, but to then publicize it and put on the internet, tell stories solely because you want other people to relate to you and you want to say, hey, you're not alone. I think that's so beautiful to put yourself out there and be like, I'm doing this just so we can hold hands together through this process. I think that's so wicked.
Woo! How was you?
I'm like so intertwined into like just two different communities, either the YouTube community in full or the LGBT community. But I swear, like being lesbian is completely different from being a gay man. So I would have to say my gay men on YouTube are so dope. They are. This is like it doesn't matter. It's like a positive thing with them all the time. Oh yes, honey, those eyebrows are snatched. Enthusiastic no matter what you are or who you look like. They're the most accepting ones and kind of less judgmental when it comes to doing things with them.
That's cool. Mr. Meadows, how about you?
So I'm pretty old school nerd, but I grew up on like the 80s movies and old 8-bit video games and stuff like that, and cartoon G stuff. So I would say the newer generation of nerds and geeks are into like Doctor Who and all that stuff. Okay, there's a TARDIS, I know that. There's a sonic screwdriver, and there's a girl named Rose. That's what I got. So, but yeah, it's like like I look on Tumblr and I see all these references and stuff, and I was like, man, I wish I knew that kind of nerdy stuff. Oh, it's on Netflix. All right, I'm gonna watch Orange is the New Black, and I'm gonna watch Doctor Who.
I love that phrase. It's on Netflix. It's universal. You can watch it.
I was like, what took you so long?
Is Netflix like YouTube?
But I definitely like the catching up on some of that stuff to keep my nerdness going.
Cool. Jessica.
Beauty gurus. I love that community. Like, it's not my jam at all. I'm into that, but I respect them so much. Like, I get ready to put pants on in the morning.
In line with what Andre was saying, I am a part of this community and I really love it. It's the sort of the resurgence, the first surge of geekery, I guess. So Nerd Fighters, DFTBA, Geek and Sundry. It's like this thing that's happened in the past couple of years where it's like, hey, you can actually have fun when you play a board game with your friends. It's actually a really cool time. It's like it's an okay thing to do. Everyone does it. I think it's really awesome because it's like this huge wave of people playing card games, people getting into things that involve strategy and talking with human beings in real life, and it's keeping so much of our time is spent on our phones and in the digital world that I'm glad that there's this new resurgence of I keep saying new resurgence, those words don't fit together. There's a new surge of people that want to interact around a table. I think that's really awesome, it's really powerful, and makes for just better humans.
That's great.
A new community, a different community than myself, that I admire. A different community.
You touch a lot of communities.
Yeah, well, from the back, because I did so many videos where I thought I knew what the community was. I just assumed what the community was, and then I said, when I did my first meet and greet, so that was it. Whoever, if you like me, I like you. You like the community. And so, well, I'm very big in Muslim countries and Korea. I don't know. I think because that I'm not too religious online, and I'm usually conservatively dressed, and it's just funny, and the things that I do, like, oh, we understand that she's dying, it doesn't matter what language, there's no language barrier.
Everybody has that. Everybody has things out.
Yes, don't want any more sympathy.
All right, last question, we're gonna go to the crowd. Someone asked earlier, actually 2 people asked earlier about how they could be meaningful allies to various communities. So what is sort of your call to action as a word to the community? If they see something, when they say something, and how should they think about that person moving forward? Liz, I'll start with you. Okay, Jimmy, we can start with you. You're not a vote, we'll come back to you.
Okay, how can you be an ally to a community? For one, we talked about my people isn't a specific race, right? This is the fucking planet Earth, all right? There's a lot of people on this planet, and we may look different, but at the end of the day, I got 2 arms, so you guys got 2 arms, I got a body, I got a head, I got a heart, we all have the same components deep down. So really when it comes to it, it's like you need, it's a tough thing, because it's like, I don't want to be like, yes, I support my so-and-so friends, because I believe in this and this, and you come up and say, oh, this just doesn't sound right at all, like having to justify why you are a human being. So I think push for that, push to just be as empathetic as you can to what's happening around you. Brush up on modern events, know what's happening around the world right now. It really will be, you will grow to be have a bigger heart, a bigger brain, and just be a better person. If you can really understand what's happening globally and take it all in instead of being focused on what's happening in your high school. Or what's happening with the drama with Susie because she sucks. That's so insignificant. Yeah, don't ask me about Susie. She sucks. But seriously, when there's an internal war in Syria, when North Korea continues to threaten the world with stuff, like there's so much stuff that's happening that's so big that we're such a tiny part of such a small community, a small thing. We are connected to the world. We have that connection. So to be a good ally is to educate yourself, I think, to really know what's happening and give you a better perspective on the world so that you can be less, you can be more informed. It's really important to be informed.
So eloquent.
I listen to NPR a lot. So.
Is NPR like YouTube?
Mine is I think people come to my channel to escape from the news, so I like providing that. I do know some things about the current events, but a lot of them are sad, and people do come to my channel to not hear that and just be light and silly and that kind of thing, and that's the kind of be my niche.
And being light and silly is good, as long as someone isn't being hurt. So as long as everyone's being respectful, no one's being hurtful. If you think, oh, it's okay, I can say this because I'm being silly. No, it's not okay. You have to know when it's okay to say things, when it's not okay. And if you hear someone, you need to call them out and tell them.
I try to tack on that. I totally agree with that. I think that it's a part being optimistic, but at the same time not naive. I'm all for the future and everything like that, but there are still individuals out there that are going to spread their hatred because they need to, and for whatever reason. And so I love that when someone writes a racist thing on my channel, that my audience shuts them down, until Google Plus turns around and things were marked as spam, so we can read all the time. But they at least are really good about doing that. And I've had situations, I'm gonna be real, I had situations on YouTube, I've had situations at events, including Vidcon, where I know looking a certain way caused at the least a stare of like, what's this person doing? And it really makes me feel good when people of all different types look past that and see me as an individual, as a creator, as a person. And to see that someone that looks exactly like me and someone who looks nothing like me likes what I do and likes what all these guys do, simply because of their content. If you hate me, if you hate the 80s and the 90s and you hate everything I say, fine. But hate it because you just don't like my content. Don't hate it because of how I look or how I was a person. And the same thing with I just want to get to that place where people are just not immediately judged by how they present themselves or how they look brand personally. It's like get to know them. And that's what I love about this community. What I love about doing something on YouTube is that you get to watch them and you get to know who they are as people, not just
All right, let's go to you.
What I'm hoping doesn't happen is, since this like topic is coming into light. What I'm hoping doesn't happen is like more ethnic people are coming into light, but YouTube or whoever doesn't invite them just because they're ethnic. Like, oh, he's a black guy. We need him. We have five white men and one black dude. This is gonna work out. Like, I wouldn't want that to occur after all of this. I would love it if our community focused on our talents, focused on the things that we are so good at, despite skin color or any of that thing. Like, if you're a great piano player, then you're just a great piano player. You're not a great black piano player. Okay, you're not a awesome lesbian this. You're not an awesome Indian that. Like, that's what I hope doesn't happen. And everyone, I don't know. I just don't want y'all to do that. Okay.
I think, yeah, they all summed it up pretty well. I think something I'm really big on is when you another person, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's in the comment section, or it's in person, or it's in your friends at school, or whatever, is to first see them as a human being. And I think a lot of people forget that with YouTubers. I get 1,000,010 comments like, hey, you're Indian, why aren't you addressing all of the issues in India? Why aren't you making videos about everything happening in your motherland? First of all, I'm Canadian. Second of all, I think as YouTubers, for me personally, I find it important to step out of my comfort zone. So I don't want to just collab with another Indian YouTuber because everyone thinks the Indian YouTubers should stick together. They're not an Indian YouTuber. If our content doesn't match and we don't vibe together, we have the same idea, we're not going to work together. Like, I'm not going to judge people based on, oh, I need to work on them strategically because their skin color. No, if you're funny and if you're cool, I'll work with you. Otherwise, I don't need to strategically work with all other Indians. Like, you know what I mean? I think just first and foremost say you're a human being before being like, oh, okay, you're Indian, we should talk about this. So I think in the comment section, it's important to remember that as people who watch videos, when people say things like that, just like, dude, she doesn't, not everyone has to be religious debate according to their skin color, right? And I think you guys do a great job of doing that. When we have to be nice, I can't always find people, you guys do more, so it's fine. Yeah.
All right, let's go to questions. Start in the back. Say your name, where you're from originally, and your favorite personality online.
Hey, thank you. My name is Eduardo. I'm from Minnesota, originally from South America. And I have a channel called The Leader Guy, in which I actually talk about diversity topics. Basically, kind of show Caucasians, white Caucasians, what Hispanics like. You know, what Hispanic people like in South America. Because we are kind of this hybrid that we are not completely South American, we're not completely American, and we have very diverse likes and dislikes. One of the biggest challenges that I have faced, even though Hispanics is the biggest growing diverse population in the United States, is the topic of accents. You know, and I found out that one of the biggest points for discrimination is how you speak. Okay, and I don't see anybody Hispanic in the panel. I'm a little disappointed on that. But what is your point and what is your take, you know, maybe two of you in the panel, to talk a little bit about accents and how do you see that, especially, you know, if you have a little bit of Ebonics or a little bit of, you know, street accent, and what's your take? What do you feel about that?
Accents to me are very personal because a British accent is pretty sexy, right?
What?
Scottish accent. Asian accent. Hilarious. Funny. Laugh at it. It's not appealing. There's nothing sexy about it at all. It's a different language that they're speaking originally. Now they're trying to speak English. I don't like it. It doesn't sound good. It's something I make fun of. And at the end of the day, you can't stop someone from taking the easiest route to make fun of you. Right? What a weak, easy thing to make fun of. The way they sound. Right? Like, it's like, hey, I don't like your face. It's like, well, great, something I don't have control over. So. And at the end of the day, it's the best thing you can do to combat it is it's in the content of your message. You know, what the words that you say at the end of the day, accent or not, that's what makes the impact. So if you're saying something great, if you're saying something inspirational or whatever, if you're making the content of your message good, then it doesn't matter what your accent is. And to hell with anyone that can't listen to you beyond that. So it's something that you have to embrace even if it is something that people you think dislike. But just know that the people that are making fun of it are taking the lowest common denominator of something to insult or something to dislike. And that, it shouldn't have as much of an impact as it does on us, but it does anyway. So, you know, try and step above that and try to make your message what's the most important thing out of all of it.
Another thing is, I in my videos intentionally do accents. I do an Indian accent to show my parent characters, to show whoever else. And I've used it in that way to take the power away from someone making fun of the Indian accent. Because now people are like, I love it when you do that Indian accent. You know, usually they make fun of it. Now they're like begging me. So every panel I've done so far, I've been coming with it, please do the accent because we think it's so cool. And of course, it's not an ideal world where people are all so accepting. So I think the best advice I could give you, and this is kind of just a little bit sassy, but you gotta play the game to change it. I think you need to, exactly what you said, whatever content you have, take the power out of people's hands and put it in your own hands and make your content in accordance to your wonderful accent. Oh, Spanish accent's so sexy. Hell, who else making fun of that accent? And just play the game to change it. That's all it is.
Let's go to the side of the room. Say your name, where you're from. I like that you say your channel. Say your channel. And if you don't have a channel, you have to say your favorite channel. And then get one later.
There has to be someone up there.
My name is Joy, and my channel is Joy Vidcon. My question for you would be, how do you avoid desensitization? Because like Andre said, the first thing you say is, I'm American, I'm black, and you do that. But something that I personally have had issues with in the past is that people will watch your channel and they'll see a character, but it's when you do the Indian accent, your parents can't turn it on and off. Someone who's not necessarily Indian, they can make fun of that accent and then leave it at that. But there's not necessarily an off and on switch. So how do we how would you as a person of color maintain your identity while still reaching the content that you need and avoiding desensitizing people to the fact that you are an underrepresented group?
Well, I think, for me, like I said, as I was saying earlier, the reason why I say that is because, yes, on one hand, I want us to be treated as individuals and treated, based on our content. On the other hand, I am proud to be black. I am proud to be a nerd. I'm very proud to put that out in the open. And so, I think it's just a matter of just how you present it. It's always funny to me when someone goes, and then goes, oh, out in public, I love you, Andre, I love your channel. Black nerd comedy, it's awesome. because of other reasons, it's been seen as a negative. And so for me saying it, that I'm proudly putting it out there, I did a thing for a company here, and they on their channel, in their title, Black Nerd Plays New Video Game, and people are like, what? And so it's that makes it really awesome because it's not the negative thing, it's a positive thing. So I think that's the way you present yourself. You're saying look, I'm doing it, I'm playing a different character, whatever, because I want to, because it's fun, because it's positive to me, or it's important to me, then there's nothing to fight. Some people are like, oh, Black Nerd. Yeah, thank you. I already made that point, but thanks.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, my channel is all about positivity as well. It's all about how you present your content, as mentioned, and also the fact that I think a lot of actually Indians come to my channel saying, stop making fun of Indians. I said I was Canadian. Yeah, my parents are Indian. I'm not actually making fun of my parents. I'm playing a character because if I didn't put on the accent, I would still be Superwoman, talking to Superwoman. I need to be Superwoman talking to my parents, right? And so I have to play those characters and put on an accent. And the big reason I do the accent is to show that this shouldn't seem like something so far-fetched to people watching it, where all they pay attention to now is the fact that these people have an accent. In traditional media, as Rosal kind of mentioned, every Indian person with a job may taxi. Right? In my videos, my parents are freaking awesome, and they have accents, so I kind of make them have accents on purpose, and I do carry a lot of stereotypes, because I'm like, this should come to talk to you. This is what it is, and it's going to be represented in my videos, and I'm not embarrassed of it. So it's kind of how you play it, how you make it positive. That was a really good question, by the way. Really good question.
We only have 30 more minutes, but I want to fit at least 2 more questions in. Let's go. You.
I'm Jenny. Can you say your name, sis? Teresa. Jenny.
Hi.
Hi. More of opinion. How do you feel about people using like racism to get more popular on YouTube? Like should like people say something?
What's the question?
Using racism. So your question is, what do I think about people using racism to get more popular on YouTube? This is good. It links back to our previous question, which is when you use an accent, what's the difference? Because you can use an accent in a disparaging way. You know, I could bust out an extremely offensive but funny Cantonese accent right now if I wanted to. Or I can talk like my parents, how they actually talk, they just have an accent in voice. And so there's two differences there. One, you're specifically using, you know, in a lot of ways it can be classified as racist. You're essentially, you're doing something to exemplify this comedic image and make people laugh at something. You know, very rarely when you're doing an accent or being racist are people laughing with you. You know, they're laughing at the caricature, they're laughing at what you're representing. And I think, again, it ultimately is a very weak form of comedy. And I think it takes humanity for granted saying that this is the best we can do. Right? There's so much great humor out there, there's so much great comedy, there's so much great content that makes people excited about life that isn't racist, that isn't like so just gross and ugly. So I'm not a fan. You know, you should never use it. It's like, well, hey, you guys want to get popular? I'm going to get popular on being hateful. It's like, that's just, it's not healthy for anyone, and especially if you're driving the narrative of we're trying to be a more worldly community, you're not doing anyone any favors. So I mean, it may be an easy road out, and oftentimes the easiest road is not the right road. Oftentimes the right road is always the right road.
Yeah, I just want to add in, I get called racist a lot because I have a character named Michelle. And because her character is really based on how my family treats me. Because my family real loud, they talk like this, they don't get their hair in, that's how she talks. And it trips me out because I get called racist for portraying black women like that, when all I'm doing is representing my family. And I get ridiculed because I talk very suburban. I have two sides of myself, my daughters and stuff. And my parties there. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in. Like, it's tricky. I don't do it for popularity. I do it because it's something that I have gone through or can connect with.
And it's true. It's not the truth, but you don't take it straight.
No, I try not to, but my family's pretty radical.
Right.
We're going to get in trouble for this because we're over time. Let's do one more. Who is the best question? Don't do this to me. All right, we'll go back. I'm sorry, everyone else. Tweet them all.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, my name's Akila. I'm from Kentucky, but I live in New York City now.
Kentucky.
What? No one. Got it. All right, so my question is actually maybe a little New York specific, but also just with YouTube as a company. They have this great new promotion thing happening where they're promoting like 3 channels at a time. They'll take over a full train station. They'll show like 3 people, and they kind of took the opportunity to find 3 people who, to most people, look very similar and have very similar content, and they are not what would be considered diverse. And I'm just wondering how, being some of the biggest people on YouTube, how it makes you feel and what you do when, you're achieving so much, but even the industry you're in is not recognizing it?
So I'm no longer part of YouTube, so I should clarify some things. So the 3 individuals that she's alluding to are Rosanna Pansino, Bethany Moda, and Michelle Fawn. They are indeed mostly beauty, lifestyle, and food gurus. It's deliberate because this is an attempt to sort of get ad dollars there, which in theory will help the rest of the platform. But I think one of my questions to this, and I'd be curious to see what the panelists think, is how you define diversity exactly. Because if you take it at face value, one of those people is Asian, for sure. And another one is a geek. And another one is a ridiculed, homeschooled 18-year-old girl who just so happens to have an incredible personality. So I'd be curious to see what you guys thought. It was, how do you feel about the industry portraying sort of a certain image that may or may not be counterintuitive to the incredible diversity that the platform represents?
That was kind of going for the point I mentioned earlier. It's like I said, as YouTube grows, you're going to get more outside companies, more traditional style media companies to promote what's going on. I mean, maybe it's here, who would have thought that the Tonight Show would have a booth at Vidcon? You know, like, these things are happening, and so that's why I say it's important. I'll be real. Anytime I see like the top YouTubers of all time, whatever, one of my first questions is Roselle on that list? And she's like, I know she's one of the top. Because I have seen lists of these are the top YouTubers, and I'm like, what's going on? That person, why should be on this list? You know, so it's because when people are writing about these things, they are used to a certain style, they're used to a certain type, they're used to a certain report. It's not even so much, like exclude, it's just, this is what I know. This is what I'm familiar with, so that's why I'm impressed. That's why I say it's up to us as creators to show them that, if you're just looking at subscribers, numbers, popularity, whatever, it does not matter how they look. And that's what we're going with, or just the content is just freaking good. There's some amazing YouTubers who don't have a list. So if that's what you're going with, then let's go on that, and let's get out of that traditional system and enjoy the content.
Part of your question was how does it feel? It's really pretty annoying.
Yeah.
I think Russell mentions the most thing positive thing, and then also reply to this, is that honestly I think, I feel on my behalf, I'm sure you've all experienced it, we do things all the time. There's been times when I've gone to events and I could be standing right next to another YouTuber, and if we're talking, if you strip away all the statistics, I mean, someone not that subscribers, like the almighty say all, like someone have more subs than more views than everything. And I'm thinking, what is the only other difference between me and this other person? And it is that I am an Indian female and they are a white male. I've been treated like crap so many times in that situation. Time and time again, and I've boycotted events for that exact reason. And it's annoying. It's something that we're all trying to change. Obviously, that's why the panel is existing. But it is something that we do, at least I 100% recognize. The exact ad you're talking about is something that also caught my eye. Whether or not it's diverse or not, diverse is just because I can personally relate to it, going to so many events that happen to me all the time. So.
Question, by the way. What time are we actually ending? It's not 1:30. What time does the next session start?
1:30. Next session's at 2. 1:30.
So the next one started 5 minutes ago.
Started 5 minutes.
No, next one.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here.